Welcome back. More on our story at the top of the bulletin, and this injury scare for Collingwood ahead of the Magpies qualifying final showdown with the Crows in Adelaide, with superstar player Jordan De Goey copping a knock at training. His coach, Craig McRae, is speaking and providing updates on his fitness. Let's take a listen.
Over at Adelaide Oval with all those buses going across, must be great to have that support.
Yeah, it's great to have some buses going over. I'm going to drive one of them over. It'll pick you up at Southern Cross, and we want to get all our fans there. They travel far and wide, our Magpie Army, and 112,000. Hopefully we have a loud representation of that on Thursday night.
How's Bowie doing? Craig, you saw him doing some run-throughs out there. Is he going to be right to play?
Yeah, Bowie will play. Yeah, no, he's done everything he needed to do to prove his fitness today, and we back him in and back our medical department in, and he'll be available.
Has Jordan De Goey was going to go down?
Yeah, I was a bit worried about that. Yeah, no, he's fine. He came back on. He just got a little bit of a knock on. I think it might have been his ankle. No, he's fine. He came back on. So fingers crossed, huh? That was good.
Will Parker come back inside for one? Looks like he was training for one too.
Yeah, we'll certainly consider Will. He played really well in Adelaide only a couple of rounds ago, and we just love his fight and his tenacity at the ball and the man, and he's certainly a name that is going to be hard to remove from the team.
How about with the three Adelaide key forwards and Jeremy? How do you look to make us around?
Yeah, I think you might have asked this a couple of weeks ago. We had the same issue with how we're not playing, but our system really stacked up, and Standy is talking about system over personnel, and we just got to back our system in that. We've got players behind the ball that support the aerial stuff, and it's not a one-person defence. So, we kept them to 30-odd inside 50s on that day, and I know this game will be a lot different, but a similar approach to how we attack our defence won't change.
Billy Frampton knows how Wellington moves, so you back him in to handle that task.
Yeah, well, it's a big ask. He's All-Australian for a reason, and he marks the ball as good as anyone in the competition. So, Billy's done a pretty good job the last couple of times we played him, but this is not something that he's walking into this game and thinking it's going to be handled. He's going to have to work well with the others to support their ball movement, but also the aerial battle. Be a huge part of the game.
Surprised to see how different the dimensions are, I guess, of Adelaide Oval.
Yeah.
It's quite stark.
Yeah, we tried to get the boundary line taken in. I think they mixed it up a couple of times, but there's no wings. That's reality, and the ground is a different dimension. It's somewhat easy to defend sometimes, and it's hard to move the ball at times. So we want to make sure our players are adapted and ready for that.
How do you handle the possibility of playing at the Adelaide Oval? Texas 300th game as well. How do you handle it?
I was at Texas around it. I wish him all the best. He's been a great player for the competition and for Adelaide. I wish him well. And no, we just got to step into it. It's going to be a big challenge. Like we're not naive to think you're playing a team that's won 9 odd games in a row. They finished top of the ladder. There's a huge build up in Adelaide for what's coming. Real excitement around Matty Nix's first finals campaign, and a lot of their players playing their first final. That's a huge build up, and we just need to embrace and accept that. The hostile crowd, there's 54,000 record crowd before. I'm not sure they can beat that. Obviously it's going to be hard to, unless someone didn't scan their ticket properly. But we're going over with a real energy, but we understand what we'll get into.
How helpful do you think your finals experience, this team's finals experience, 22, 23, Adelaide hasn't been there for a while? How helpful do you think that's going to be?
Yeah, well, ideally, you think this time around is when you need your experience, and we've got a lot of it. And there's going to be times in the game where you're going to need it, and maybe there's times in the game you wish you had probably had a youthful enthusiasm but didn't have it. I don't know. Well, time will tell. But I'm glad we've got what we have. The likes of Pendles and Steele, and to set up others, and across every line we've got enough experience to support whatever comes our way.
There's no Bobby Hill.
No, Bobby's got some family stuff today. We supported him with his family stuff that he's going through, and he missed today, but he's training exceptionally well, and ideally he's here tomorrow or the next day so we can set him up for potentially a tilt later in the campaign.
Definitely not playing.
No, he won't be available. He was never a chance to be available. He just gets some load into this. We were rapt to have him back in our program, and good to see him smiling again.
Said that leading the glimmer a couple of weeks ago. Is that getting a little bit smaller?
I'm not sure. I'd like to think that every day I say to him one little step, Bobby, is a step closer. So he's taken a few big strides this week, and the way he's trained and been part of match play, we're excited to have him back smiling. That's the main part. And today he's got his family, so we'll support that too.
It's good to talk on that today, going down back, but we saw him play forward in match
Is that a possibility?
No, we'll talk at match committee what that looks like. Dan's, he's making a come up discussion where we need him, and we'll sort of weigh up whether we go with Dan or some other options, maybe Mason as well, as his name might be there for consideration. We're not quite there yet, but we're close.
Craig, you talk about how big the build-up is to the game. Was there a sense with Adelaide finishing on top, winning so many games in a row, that there is more pressure on them going into it, and you can feed into that?
Oh, pressure's only what you put on yourself, really, isn't it? Like the whole build-up for this game is huge, and so it should be. It's a final. It's spring. This is when you want to be involved, and we're pumped. There's a real dialed-in energy downstairs, and then ideally you see that when you come watch us train. But that just leads you to the first bounce, and then the expectation management, pressure of crowds and scoreboard, that's all what you've got to be ready for. And we've spent a whole year, and maybe more than that, a couple of years sort of working around managing moments and handling situations and being ready for what comes. And again, maybe back to the experience, hopefully that stands us in good stead.
Back on mixed day, how much of a factor is in playing back or forward in your mind at selection, or do you see him as a forward in your debate?
Yeah, I'm not sure Dan will be considered much for back, to be honest. But more back insurance, which he's given us in the past. So, his flexibility to play ruck, a little bit of back if we've got an injury or something like that, and then forward has been a reason why we continue to put his magnet where it needs to be.
So does that mean it's generally between him and Mason for that role?
Potentially. We might go smaller at two. But probably more likely between those two.
Is it all concerning, for instance, in Brody Minechek and Jeremy Elliott?
No, I think those things just take a natural course. I know many conversations have been had about, hey, let's just wait till the season's done and then we'll revisit that. That's pretty common, I would have thought, around the competition. Those two are really invested in wanting to make the most of the day to day and the week to week, so I'm not concerned by that.
Has there been any more dates with Jack Salvati?
I didn't realise he's dating other people. I was disappointed in that. No, it's a reality of free agency, isn't it? It's a process. He's got every right to do what he needs to do to find the right fit for him. I'm not sure what he helps us this week though, so we haven't really given it much thought, to be honest.
On dates, there's still one of your assistant coaches being in the running for Melbourne. How much what are you aware of that, and how ready is he?
Yeah, I've only just sort of got wind of that Hayden's potentially in line for Melbourne, and well done. Like, he's been amazing for us, and I'd be lucky to have him. He's exceptional in multiple roles for us this year. He's been a director of coaching without that title. He runs a lot of the stuff day to day for us. Took most of the pre-season. I think he's ready to be an AFL coach, and like I said, Mel will be lucky to have him. Thank you, guys. Cheers. Thank you.
Collingwood coach Craig McRae there. Of course, the build-up to Thursday night and that blockbuster final against the Crows at Adelaide does continue, but even he admitted he was a bit nervous on that vision captured by our Fox Sports News cameras of Jordan De Goey getting caught in a tackle there at training, forced off field, but only for a short time. He did complete training, and they aren't seemingly too concerned, but I would imagine that's still a bit of a watch to see how he pulls up after training today. We'll have more on that on AFL tonight.